definitely lacked in some execution. I think they were hurt. I think they were upset, missed opportunities, and had to flush it, this morning and move on to Stanford, because Stanford is a whole nother animal.
How do you think they've done flushing it?
In the morning, I think when I first addressed them, I think it was still a lot of those emotions were still there. I think this team, everything they've been through, which a lot, with the lack of availability, really of exposure for really you guys, and what this team's been through. You guys haven't had to see a whole lot of it or gotten to see a whole lot of it, but I think they felt like they were the team of destiny a little bit, to be honest with you, and didn't turn out that way versus Oregon. And I think a little bit of that, was a little shocking to them. But I thought they flushed it really well this afternoon. I thought it was a big difference from this morning till this afternoon.
Aiden Hector was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Week. That's the second week in a row you've had Freshman of the Week. You got to be pretty proud of that.
Oh, yeah, you get 3 turnovers in 9 plays. I think it doesn't happen very often. I think he'd be the first one to credit the guys knocking balls out and, being Johnny on the spot. Made a good play on the interception, but I also think he would, go give some love to Jalen Watson for what he did on that play and forcing an errant throw. So it is a good sign seeing some young guys make some plays, especially for the future.
And he's going up against Stanford this week. Is there, or have you had any conversations with him?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't. I'm not sure that I will either.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Any other questions for Coach? Zach Armstrong, go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Zach.
The offensive line seemed to play really well on Saturday. Can you tell us how each one of them graded out against Oregon?
I would not do it accurately because I can't remember exactly what they are from Webb, but I know as a unit, really like their pass pro. A lot of movement up front, and Oregon's a talented football team, caused some issues, but I didn't feel like there was an inordinate amount of pressure in the drop back game. They weren't as clean as we'd like to with some of the run game stuff, but I know they played hard, and Dion ran hard and got some tough yards. So, but as we probably all thought, that was going to be a group that this whole team was going to lean on, not only for execution but for leadership and guidance, and because they're the most seasoned, unit on the team.
And on special teams, Oscar averaged over 54 yards per punt. Just what did you think of his performance, and what does it do for offensive play callers knowing that he can boot it like that on 4th down?
Just being prepared to get backed up because he's been so effective with it. I think there was some miscommunication on the sky punt that went in the end zone, but he dropped that one right where he's supposed to be, or right where he was supposed to. And, he's very talented. I think he loves being a Coug. And I know he's doing a good job, but I'd rather keep him on the sideline as much as we can.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Other questions for Coach?
I guess you're going back to Oscar. You think of the punter as more of a defensive position, but like the last resort. But he's really an offensive weapon in my mind because he's so talented in not only leg strength but accuracy and his ability to do things with the ball. Nothing else?
Nothing else. Jessamine, go ahead.
Coach, just in the absence of Max Borghi, I won't ask about that. Dion Mackintosh, how much did you know about him before you came to Washington State?
Very little. Very little. but I didn't know much about most of the guys other than, you heard about Max. Um, I guess followed because of Anthony Gordon and his city connection. Aesop was one I followed, just because they're city guys. But um, I think he's really had a really good. I think I've said this, but real productive training camp, and um, I think he's enjoying the role he's been awarded on this football team. I think the O line respects him. I think they enjoy it, blocking for him, and because they see him in pass pro stepping up and doing a little bit of their job too. So uh, I think he's really attacked this the right way. Head down, getting better every day, just working. Doesn't need to be flashy, doesn't need all the attention, just wants to get out and play ball. And I'm happy for him because I think it's been a long journey for him.
How would you describe his style?
His running style or his dressing style or
Can we start with running and then we'll go to blocking?
I don't know. He's fairly unique in that he's kind of, he's longer than a lot of running backs, but he's got a strong running style and he gobbles up yards pretty well if he gets in the open field. I think you saw some of his straightaway speed. Probably didn't know he had such good balance on some of these awkward runs, awkward hits he's taken and stayed up. Yeah, he's got a lot of desire when he runs.
And you mentioned that the offensive line respects him because they take on a little bit of his job in pass protection. What do you think of his blocking abilities?
We had a couple things I know I say execution a lot. Couple mental errors from Dion as far as alignment in the game, but for the most part, he's a willing participant in the pass pro, and I think the O-line can see that on film, but also I think takes a lot of respect. They have a lot of respect for that because he doesn't tell him he's a good blocker. Old coach told me once, when you're good at something, you'll tell everybody. When you're great, they'll tell you. And I think the O-line, they don't pat him on the back all the time, but I just get the sense that they appreciate his willingness to do a little of their dirty work.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Welcome.
Cody Schuler, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I know, so far early in the season, we've seen kind of a handful of injuries. I'm not going to ask you the specifics on that, but is this something that you guys were kind of expecting or just knew could happen because of kind of the weird way that this offseason played out? And is it something you guys kind of prepared for? I know with just getting a lot of players ready.
Very much so. I had a lot of worry with this team being able to have a proper off-season training. I think it's, the freshmen especially didn't get their summer bridge lifting or any consistency. So I think we've been conscious of the possibility of more soft tissue injuries. And I think it was just a common sense thing. If, they're going to get a shortened training period for training camp, we had to adjust how we did things. And, I love Coach Dwayne Bradshaw and his staff and what they do. They had no consistency since March, really. So I think they did what they could. I think these guys took some stuff upon themselves when they weren't here, whether during some of the breaks. But, you really like to get a real consistent 8-week training session in the summer, getting ready for training camp. It was just, the strength coaches are so scientific these days and they're so structured. I thought their ability to be flexible in 2020 was pretty impressive.
I know earlier you mentioned kind of, moving on to Stanford and preparing for them. I don't know how much, you've gotten to see of them, but what do you see in this Stanford team? I know, that they've had some early season struggles, but obviously you're not overlooking them. What are you kind of seeing in that team so far?
Well, I don't think we can overlook anybody. But you hear Stanford, right? David Shaw has done such a good job. I think he's a great representation for our conference. I think he's an excellent communicator. I think he's very level-headed. You know, that's why he's involved in, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going on with the conference, because people trust him and trust that he'll do the right thing that's best for the conference. But you hear Stanford, you think big personnel groups, you think running game, you think the physicality. But if you look at them recently, they're throwing the ball around a good amount and eating up some yards through the air too. So I think they've become a little bit more multi-dimensional than maybe the stereotypical Stanford offense of the recent past. Getting the quarterback back helped them. I'm sure they feel good about that, and they've got people at receiver that can really cause some matchup problems and find the ball in the air really well. So, they use multiple personnel groups, probably more than multiple, but I believe they still want to be able to run the ball, and that to be their main identity. But they are more than capable of throwing the ball and scoring points and moving the ball that way.
Theo, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on Dion Mackintosh. It seems like he's played almost every snap the first couple games. Do you think that's kind of sustainable going forward, or will you have to kind of rotate in JoJo and Clay at some point in the next couple of weeks to kind of keep his durability from kind of wearing out, I guess?
Well, it is definitely something that is in the conversation. We just feel he's such a complete back in what we do right now. He's played damn near every snap at running back, so that is something that's been talked about, especially this week.
Do you guys expect to have Max back this season?
I don't know. Still going day by day with that one. I guess we'll see how long the season goes.
That's true.